And away we go. And away we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome to a Social Justice Minute with yours truly, Gerald Palmer, MSW. MSW stands for Masters Social Work. But you know how we do. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Trying something new. And we're trying something called a Social Justice Minute where we dive into issues that are hot topic issues diving into those hot topic issues. Yes, I love it. So today we are going to talk about what are we talking about today? I mean, you know this topic because you hear it. I know we are flooded with so many stories about diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you are in the workplace, I'm pretty sure that you have heard about the term diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you are in higher education, I am pretty sure that you know the topic diversity, equity, inclusion. Maybe in your workplace there is trainings on this topic. Maybe at your place of learning there is a office of diversity, equity, inclusion. There's some called diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. But on many college campuses, there is a diversity, equity, inclusion. In many high schools and middle schools and elementary schools, there is some type of initiative called diversity, equity, inclusion. It's that catchphrase, right? It was an in thing, but now it seems as though every, I guess, every cycle, every day, there is a new bill on the state level that is trying to dismantle what we know as diversity and equity and inclusion. So by no means is this going to be a deep dive into diversity, equity, inclusion, because a deep dive will take hours upon hours. This is called a social justice minute and not called a social justice hour. And we're going to try to get this down to 30 minutes. And if there is a great a great oh, do more, we will do more. But the goal is to try to get on different topics that are social justice issues. And social justice is about helping us find our voices. Social justice is about finding one's voice, in the midst of being suppressed, oppressed. It is a way of, again, finding our voice, empowering others to find their voice. So let's take a dive. Although I said not a deep dive, but we're going to take a dive into what is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we're going to use some news stories, maybe even some personal observations, because when we start to look at why is diversity, equity, inclusion being attacked so much, I do have my own opinion, and based on having my own opinion, let me drop this in. Let me drop this in the screen real quick. Let me drop this disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this channel are those those of the host, which is me, and his guest, which is you. When you comment via live, or you can comment once this is recorded, and do not necessarily reflect the views of positions of any entities that they represent. Let me try that again, because it's disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this channel are those of the host and his guest, and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities that they represent. Okay, so I did the I did the office voice. That's it. And let me drop this one too, people. Let me drop this little ticker. Oh yeah, it's already there. The fair use. Copy disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute. Uh, there's more added to it, but I don't see it. Uh, you know the copyright disclaimer law. Okay, fair use. All right, so let's dive into what is diversity, equity, inclusion, and why in the world is it under so much attack? Why is it under so much attack? So, first of all, let's go to the news. Let's go to the news. Look at this. So I just did that for here. Up. Let me do a refresh. Okay, so that's just all right. So here are some of the headlines about on regarding DEI. Here's some of the headlines regarding DEI. And let me take this out so you can see the bigger picture. Here we go. How's that? And let me get the disclaimer out of there so you can see underneath. There we go. There we go. How's that? How's that? How is that? Uh all right, so let's look at these stories, man. Is DEI a racial slur? So this story right here, have you heard this story? I don't want to click on it, but basically, you know about the collapse of the bridge in Baltimore. And the I think Baltimore has a black mayor, if I'm not mistaken, and some conservative politicians are claiming um oh Lord, I'm so reading some of these other posts, the opinion posts. So the since the mayor of Baltimore is black, and I think like the person that's over transport or whatever, conservatives are blaming the collapse of that bridge a DEI issue. They're blaming it on DEI. You did you hear what I said? They're blaming this whole bridge collapse on DEI. Uh this opinion here, the Biden DEA avalanche keeps rolling. See, Biden might lose this election based on the fear of DEI. DEI can work. We just need to end cancel culture first. Okay, this is something different. This here, Missouri Attorney General uses teen fight video to attack DEI programs. So there was a fight in St. Louis where a white girl was severely beaten by a black girl. And so the attorney general is blaming the fight on DEI. I mean, did you know that was happening? Everything is either blamed on you being black or blamed on DEI. Sorry, what are you doing, Gerald? All right, so yeah, this is somebody called Fast Company from Don't Say Gay to Anti DEA. How the private sector has reacted to restrictive new law. Let's see. Joy Reid said the problem is not DEI. The problem is you. Um, wow. The Wisconsin governor, okay, vetoed the bill in regard to DEI crackdowns. Okay. Yeah, I mean DEI. Okay, so Kentucky GOP fails to pass college DEI ban. Oh my gosh. Texas is using Bowen troubles to expand its war on DEI. So Texas is attacking DEI. Uh like why is the why is the mayor of Baltimore being blamed for the bridge and they're blaming it on DEI? Jeez Louise. Okay, what else? You had to actually say no, DEI didn't cause the Baltimore bridge collapse. Okay, so that's enough. I don't want to read no more of this. Let me go ahead and get out of that. Are you serious? Are you serious? Shout out to KRP who's joining us live. Shout out to KRP. Love to hear your thoughts on the attacks on the idea of DEI. So let's get more into it. So the news is there. I mean, constantly you're hearing stories about the attack of DEI. Let's continue. All right, so let's examine what the D and the E and the I stand for in DEI. So DEI stands for diversity, equity, inclusion. Diversity refers to the presence of a wide range of identities. However, what we're starting to see now is DEI is starting to be a smoke signal for black. Follow me. DEI is now not smoke, but dog whistle. DEI is now becoming a dog whistle for black. And let me go back to share my screen because let's see, we want to go to, yeah. All right. So, yeah, it's becoming a dog whistle for black. So, diversity refers to the presence, the presence of a wide range of identities, backgrounds, and perspectives within a community or organization. That's in the workplace. In education, diversity encompasses differences related to race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, social economic status, ability, religion, language, and more. Now, peep this. Embracing diversity means recognizing and valuing these differences, recognizing and valuing these differences, fostering an inclusive atmosphere, and ensuring representation across all aspects of education. W- Why would there be a pushback of embracing diversity? Why would there be a pushback of embracing or recognizing and valuing differences in how we learn and how we work and how we show up to work, how we show up to education, what we bring with us? And I use this analogy uh, when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion. Shout out to Liz Martin. I use the analogy of a backpack and what we bring in our backpack. And I don't know if you have this, but when my children were younger, they would pack everything and anything in their backpacks and bring it with them. And you would tell them to, take some stuff out. But as you start to take stuff out, they're like, I need this and this is meant for this. And even with me personally, I'm looking to downsize my my briefcase or whatever you call it. And I got stuff that I really don't use, but I feel like I need it because it represents me. So when it comes to our non-existent backpack, it's not physically there, but it's what we bring with us when we show up. We bring those things that influence us, those things that impact us. We bring how society has addressed us or dealt with us. We bring with us our family upbringing, the things we've learned as basically by showing up in the skin that we're in. Those are all three things we bring with us, and it's such a beautiful thing to hear so many people's perspectives on life based on what they bring in their backpacks. So, why is diversity being attacked? Why is diversity being attacked. Who? Who? Yeah, there's no owl in here, but who is attacking diversity and why? Next, let's look at equity. Equity focuses on fairness, ooh, and justice, ooh. It acknowledges that not everyone starts from the same place or has the same needs. So we no longer use the word equality as much as we use the word equity. And again, it focuses on fairness and justice. It acknowledges that not everyone starts from the same place or has the same needs. And you're seeing this really, there's new research, there's new evidence that focuses on increasing equity and focusing on equity in education. So, in education, equity means providing resources, providing opportunities, and supports to all students based on their individual needs, regardless of their background. And you're seeing this even played out in how professors, instructors, and teachers teach. Gone, gone are the days when you could just sit in front of a class, stand in front of a class, or sit in front of a class and just lecture and talk. Those days are gone. Even though there are still institutions and still teachers and professors who teach like that. The needs of students they vary, but the needs are different. Not all students have the same needs. So again, it's about giving those opportunities, by giving those back, those opportunities regardless of their background. So, achieving educational equity involves addressing. Here we go. I think this might be the issue that has a lot of folks fired up and want to keep things the way they are by not addressing systemic barriers. When it comes to equity, it's about achieving educational equity. It's about involving the addressing of systemic barriers, closing achievement gaps, and ensuring that historically marginalized groups have equal access to quality education. Now, this third part is probably why so many gosh, conservative politicians, so many of those who have benefited from their white privilege, because it's majority of those of white politicians who are fighting against DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. And I think the main part that they are against is the equity part. Because how do you address systemic barriers? You have to talk about these barriers. How do you close achievement gaps? You have to talk about those gaps. You have to talk about the history of why there are marginalized groups, right? You have to talk about that. Let's take a real quick second to read the chat because, yes, there is a chat. There is a chat, people. All right. So, Liz Martin says they are attacking DEI because that requires reflection. Bang, there you go. Requires reflection on people's individual and collective beliefs, behaviors, and policies that negatively impact marginalized groups. Bam, bam, bam. Almost sound like Florida Evan. Damn, damn, damn. No, bam, bam, bam. There it is. It's that guilt. It may be the guilt piece, but it also may be the piece of keeping marginalized groups marginalized. And that's just my own opinion. That's my own opinion. I already put the disclaimer in there, but But in my opinion, Liz is hitting right on the money. It is that equity piece. It is that equity piece that many fear the most. And we're going to look at some articles. So this might be a uh, a longer social justice minute, man, because I haven't even got into the stuff that I want to get into. But we're going to hammer this out. We're going to hammer this out. But but I I love what Liz what Liz hit on. I love what she hit on. Let's go back. Let's look at inclusion. Inclusion is about creating a sense of belonging and actively involving everyone in the educational process. An inclusive environment ensures that all students, regardless of their identities, feel valued, respected, and empowered. Let me go ahead and if I can, let's see if I can do that. I'm going to add Liz and KRP as moderators. There we go. All right. So, an inclusive environment ensures that all students, regardless of their identities, feel valued, respected, and empowered. It goes beyond mere representation. See, many got it wrong when they talk about having diversity, equity, inclusion. They think, well, we got Jamal. Jamal is a black student. Jamal, we got Jorge. Jorge is from Latin America. So we got Jamal and Jorge, and every time there's a discussion on black issues, we'll look for Jamal to answer everything about black issues. If there's something about, you know, when it comes to, we start talking about Hispanic people, we'll look for Jorge and maybe Jessica to talk about it. Well, yeah, that's not inclusion, people. That's not inclusion. It goes beyond mere representation. It involves actively dismantling discriminatory practices, and fostering a culture where everyone's voice is heard. So I gave you, we've been given the definition of diversity, equity, inclusion. And the question we must ask is, who benefits the most if diversity, equity, inclusion programs are dismantled? Who benefits the most if who benefits the most if diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are dismantled? Who benefits the most? Shout out to Anti-Afros Fingales. Who benefits the most? And a lot of times when you see who benefits the most, if policies are dismantled or if programs like DEI are dismantled, if you see who benefits the most, how you can find out who benefits the most is who is putting the most effort to dismantle, who is putting the most money into dismantling these issues. Woo. All right, so let's look at some of the attacks on diversity, equity, inclusion issues. Let's go to Alabama. So Alabama just passed a law, and the governor says my administration has and will continue to value Alabama's rich diversity. However, I refuse to allow a few bad actors on college campuses or whatever else for that matter to go under the acronym of DEI using taxpayer funds to push their liberal political movement counter to what the majority of Alabamians believe. Kay Ivey said that. I mean, we can spend a whole 30 minutes dismantling this one comment by the governor of Alabama. There's some dog whistles in there. This is a political issue. You can see. I love what KRP said. KRP said that's rather undemocratic. And I agree with you. Turn into a political issue. Let's look at something real quick. Let's go to a video real quick on this particular topic of why Alabama, why? What are you doing, Alabama? Let's go check this out.
Big changes coming to public universities this year as Governor Ivey signs the Anti-Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Bill into law. On October 1st, all DEI efforts and programs at schools must stop. DEI training requirements are also banned for students, employees, and other workers. In addition, the bill would require everyone to use restrooms that correspond with their assigned gender at birth. Big changes coming to public universities this year as Governor Ivey signs the Anti-Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Bill into law. On October 1st, all DEI efforts and programs at schools must stop. DEI training requirements are also banned for students, employees, and other workers. In addition, the bill would require everyone to use restrooms that correspond with their assigned gender at birth.
All right. We take that out. All right. Did you see the video? If not, I'm fine with that. Basically, the bill in Alabama will take out, it's going to dismantle all the DEI programs. And for some reason, so maybe the next show we will address the Alabama law. I don't have the palate. I don't have the capacity. My bandwidth is not there to look at that law because we're going to look at Kansas and Missouri. I feel as though I feel as though Missouri is on its way to do a DEI, and so a lot of my colleagues in the field of education are very worried. What does that mean to sociology programs? What does this mean for social work programs throughout different states? Because in Florida, you can't teach anything that makes students uncomfortable. So you can't teach about the history of racism because it'll make certain people uncomfortable. So this is what we're talking about. This is a political issue, but it's not a political issue. It's about advancing. It's about advancing and improving the quality of life of those who have been deemed less than. But again, ask yourself this question: who benefits the most by if DEI programs are dismantled? Who benefits the most if there is still a pocket of society that is deemed less than? Let's continue. Let me share my screen again. And it's funny because the establishment, I love that answer. KRP said the establishment, big business. That's who, and there's a website that you can go to and you can look up where politicians get their money from, mainly on a national level. And let me see. Let me see if I can put the link in the chat real quick. And I think it's called, I don't want to lead you the wrong way, but there's a, I will, you know what, I'll put it on my channel. I'll put it on my channel. All right. So I love the answers put in there, Okay. So let me go ahead and go back to sharing. Let's go back to sharing, my friends. And let's go back to the PowerPoint, even though, it's kind of old school. All right. So in Kansas, they're trying to, they're attacking DEI, but they don't define it, because again, DEI means black, and there's been a pushback from the Black Lives Matter movement, and so, well, the pushback started when Obama was voted in as president. The pushback's been going on since then. All right, let's go to this story, and we can read this story together. We can read this story together. Let's do that. Just 1 second. Let me go ahead and. All right. Let me see. Let me stop it. Let me share it. The 1619 project as well. Yeah. And again, if you look at it, a lot of this will go back to, I say, and I think it goes back to the idea that in about 20 years, in about 20 years, there will not be an identified majority. In about 30 years, white would not be the majority race in America. And that scares a lot of people, especially folks in power. Let's look at this article here. All right. Let's scroll down. That picture is really weird. It almost look like this person has a joined head. Okay. I get sidetracked. Sorry. All right. Republican lawmakers in Kansas have joined their GOP counterparts in other states trying to restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion. It isn't that just it just makes you just like, what the hell is going on? What type of world are we living in? Read this again. Republican lawmakers in Kansas have joined their GOP counterparts in other states in trying to restrict diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives on university campuses. But the proposals there advance are written to avoid having to agree on how to define DEI. How can you be against something that you don't define? Oh my God. Oh my gosh. How can you be against something that you don't define? How can you agree to something and fight something and restrict something that you don't define? But this is why your local and your state level politics matter. This is why your local and your state elections matter. Whew. The Kansas House on Thursday approved a bill, and we can go. I don't want to. I don't aimed at preventing universities, community colleges, or technical colleges from basing a student's admission or an employee's hiring or promotion on any statement or pledge about diversity, equity, and inclusion. What in the hell? Who in the hell left the gate open? While the bill includes those words, it also says universities cannot require a statement about any political ideology or movement. But DEI is not a political ideology, and DEI is not a movement, a political movement. Uh, I mean, yeah. Normally, I would go into and read the whole bill for myself. So the House, 81 to 39, most voted up among party lines. The Senate approved a proposed 25 billion state budget with a provision designed to force universities to eliminate some such requirements and mandatory DEI training. The provision would withhold 35.7 million from state 6 universities until they report to Democratic Governor Laura Kelly and the Republican controlled legislative leaders that they have done so. So you would not get any money if you have mandatory DEI training. Gosh. See, it's the battles that are going on behind the scenes, people. It's the state level battles. A lot of times we get focused on the presidential stuff, and we get focused on the what's in the news, the pop news, but it's the stuff that they're bringing in and sneaking in, not even sneaking in, because we're not paying any attention to what's happening on our college campuses. And this is going on the public level. See, any organizations that receive state funding, any public institutions that receive state funding, and if you're in the state of Kansas or any state that passes the DEI laws, is going to impact you. Republicans in at least 20 states have sought to limit DEI initiatives, arguing that they are discriminatory and enforce a liberal political orthodoxy. What? Okay, so again, the reason why there's a is that they did these attacks, they're saying that DEI initiatives are discriminatory. So we're going to look at KU, Kansas University, has an Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. You know what? I think I'm going to reach out to their Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and just ask them how will this law in Kansas impact the work that they do. Mm. So a Kansas Republican said universities has chosen to embrace ideologies that discriminate against people who do not hew to their orthodoxy. Who, Lord, see, you you try not to be connected to this, but it to me this doesn't make any sense. But that's just me talking, right? That's just me talking. But the stuff doesn't make any sense, man. But okay, I'm sorry. Let me let me get let me get back professional. Let me get let me get professional again. So Whew, okay. Okay. Let me take 1 minute to let me take a minute. Uh did I just what I do? Oh, I know what I did. Let me take a minute, y'all. Cause I just blew a gasket, man. All right. Go ahead and check out and listen to the new theme song for a social justice minute. Okay, we are back. Let me go ahead and take this out. Emily, I blew a gasket. uh, I blew a bat. I blew a gasket. Let me turn this off. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, you know what, Liz? This is my bag, and I'm gonna stick to my bag. But yeah, I did blew a gasket. That's why, I try because I talk about this stuff a lot because it impacts the work that I do. It really it even impacts those who fight against these topics the most. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Well, it has to be done right, of course. Okay, let me go ahead and go back. All right, we're definitely on the stretch end, but I wanted to go to KU, Kansas University, and I want to look at their office of equity, and they call it Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Belonging. And they said we strive for a campus where greater fairness, care, and belonging are integrated into our learning and workplace practices, and all have opportunities to meet their academic and professional goals. Well, the state of Kansas is going to make sure that none of this will be mandatory. Let's go into their page. Let's go into their page, man. Let's look in their page. All right, so okay, the generic. Let's have all hands of different races join it together. Hey, man. All right. So the Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging is dedicated to the facilitation and support of exceptional research, teaching, service, administration, learning, and quality campus life for all. Located in the Office of the Provost, the Office of the DEIB is the Chief Diversity Office for the university and works with the provost. So a lot of times the provost in universities are like the second in command. They they take care of all the educational pieces. So the office of the provost in most universities and colleges, they oversee the work of the different deans and the different colleges. Because in universities, they have different colleges. We'll talk about that another day. All right. The Office of DEIB works in partnership with campus collaborators to help our community achieve equitable and inclusive experiences that reflects the rich diversity of the broader society while addressing the structural, historic, and systemic barriers. There we go. You can't have a talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging without talking about the historical and systemic barriers that infringe upon expectations for equity in our university community. Ooh, that's a mouthful, right? Right. KRP says DEI and affirmative action needs to be separated. That's true. He said when LBJ spoke at Howard University in 1965, he said that affirmative action was equity for former slaves. Yeah. Ooh, but the biggest benefactor of affirmative action policies has historically been white women. But, you know, who am I to tell it? Who we are. Okay, so let's look at their vision and their mission. The vision is to realize the university campus where all Jayhawks see diversity as the starting point of excellence in aspects of administration, research, teaching, service, and support. Okay, so what they're saying is, this could be wrong, that students, their vision is that students, when they look at their administration, when they look at those doing the research, when they look at those doing teaching, that they see a reflection of themselves. So if you try to achieve that, you have to be purposeful in that vision, meaning you will have to make requirements that we need more. If we have a large population, a large diverse population, then we want to increase, we want to make sure that our faculty and administration reflect that. We have to be purposeful in our hiring. But if you want that state money, if you want those millions, you can't put that in writing. Mission: to advocate, facilitate, support an inclusive environment for all University Kansas community members, including students, faculty, staff, and alumni. Our vision, mission, and strategic. I want to see the strategic initiatives, and if those strategic initiatives will go against this new laws being passed. Let me see something. Okay. All right. So it's in intuitional level support. All right. University wide DEIB framework, realizing intersectional standards of excellence, RISE, foregrounds diversity and human rights as a structural benchmark for excellence in KU's institutional life. RISE helps lay foundation for intentional organizational change and community accountability. Organize and track campus DEI initiatives. So definitely want to look at their DEI initiatives and if those DEI initiatives will go against funding. All right. All right. So I think that's good. Let me. Okay. So let me see. Stop sharing. All right. Let's go to the comments. KRP says, white women. Yep. Anti Afro says, where is our mobilization? Unfortunately, far too many of our folks are long winded when it comes to raising verbal cane. New making street protest, yet short on organized pushback. That is a perfect, that sums it up perfect. That sums it up yeah. There is going to be legal, yeah. There's already set up to make this a legal fight. It's going to go back, it's going to go back to Supreme Court. It's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is going to push it back to the state level. There you go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, where is our mobilization? Well, the mobilization is happening on college campuses. The mobilization is happening on the university level with the younger generation. That's where the mobilization is headed. Those who tell our people to trust them and not vote get more attention and respect than those trying to mobilize the battle against destructive policies. And that's a good point because people are so set up on, I'm not going to vote for Biden and not Trump this and all of this, but it's on the state level, man. That's where it's happening. Right. We need deep mobilization. That's where the focus should be. And I'm telling you, and even if, let's just say, let's hold on for 1 second, people. And we are back. So I love that comment about we need, and here's the thing, even the issue when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion is the people we how can I word this? How can I word this? How can I word this? I I think one how can I word this? I think the way that I want to word this is DEI programs are not just for those on the margins of society. DEI uh, programs are for everyone. Yes, yes. KRP, this is correct. This may also be a strategy to send more controversial cases to an ultra conservative U.S. Supreme Court. Yes. The indoctrined focus on BS is another example of waste of mobilization efforts. Yes. I tell you. So, and so this show was not, about solutions. It should have been like, how do we fight back? How do we fight back? One way we fight back is just opening up the dialogue like I'm doing today. So before I end today, what I wanted to do is I found this really good article on CNN. And again, anything that you get from social from media, you mass media, you have to decide for yourself. But let's look at this. What is DEI and why is it is it really is it really dividing America? Do you know what? I'm gonna do a poll on all my channels and ask, is DEI really dividing America? This was updated March the 11th. Uh, DEI, what is it? Okay, let's read over it. I wish there was let's see if there's a way they could play it for us. No, no. All right, let's scroll down. Hmm. All right, diversity, equity, inclusion programs have come under attack in boardrooms, state legislators, and college campuses across the country. Since 2023, 81. Here, let me take off the comment so you can see this. Oh, let me take out my disclaimer. There you go. There you go, people. Let's read over this real quick. Since 2023, 81 anti DEI bills that target programs at colleges have been introduced in 28 states and in Congress, according to a tally by the Chronicle of Higher Education. 8 have been signed into law in states like Texas and Florida, and now in Alabama, and soon to be, I think, North Carolina. A 2023 survey by the Pew Research Center found that 52% of employed U.S. adults say they have DEI trainings or meetings at work, and 33 say they have a designated staff member who promotes DEI. But recently, some companies have slashed teams dedicated to DEI, and wealthy corporate leaders such as Bill Ackman and Elon Musk have made posts on social media that decry diversity programs. Huh. This goes back to who benefits the most from the elimination of DEI programs. And normally, those who benefit the most, sorry, from the slashing of these programs, will do the most to fight to get them deleted. Critics say DEI programs are discriminatory and attempt to solve racial discrimination by disadvantaging other groups, particularly white Americans. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Again, this goes back to that fear. Remember, I said that there may be a fear of the browning of America, the fear that in 20, 30 years, there may, for the first time ever in America, there may not be, you know, white folks may not be the majority in America anymore. What is DEI? And I think we already looked into DEI. Yeah. But let's look at some of what the experts say. Diversity is embracing the differences everyone brings to the table, whether it's someone's race, age, ethnicity, religion, gender, on and on. Equity is treating everyone fairly and providing equal opportunities, right? And not just that, equity is is meeting people where they're at. Equity is about meeting people where they're at, right? Even in your hiring practices, like, not everybody's going to come to you polished, and you have to have the hindsight and even the training to see, you know what, we can work with this person. We have someone who truly has skills and things that have not been unlocked yet, and we can make it happen. That's equity. Inclusion is respecting everyone's voice and creating a culture where people from all backgrounds feel encouraged to express their ideas and perspectives. Yeah, that's DEI. Let's scroll down here. Okay. So basically, the DEI practice has been around for decades. Okay. Civil Rights Act. So I'm gonna put this link in the chat, and then you can take it. I'm gonna put it on the channel too later, and you can take it and read over it as you will. Let me go ahead. Okay. All right. So yeah, you can. I'll place this. Okay. So let's look at the comment. Okay. Now I can put it in chat. Okay. There we go. All right. We just need more leaders like Fannie Willis. So we'll be good. Uh, yeah. That. Mm, what? You joking? Okay. I paused for a minute. I paused for a minute because I was like, "What? Wait, how do I approach this?" Because she's clearly joking. But we definitely need people who, if you are going to make a if you are going to try to make a dent and a name for yourself, got to make sure that you clean your closet out. Skeletons in your closet. All right. So basically, I have reached my bandwidth. The goal was to do a 30-minute show, and I'm finding you can't do a 30-minute show on diversity, equity, inclusion. But so I would say today we have a gist of what is diversity, equity, inclusion, why the attacks. Yeah. And I think the next, like one of the things that I do want to talk about, but before we get out of here today, yep, she was set up yeah, she was set up and fell for it. She sure did. And she was a threat to Trump, right? She was a threat. But yeah, she fell for the okie doke. So, all right. Now, with that being said, we talked about diversity, equity, inclusion. We talked about let me go back to my power my presentation. Go back to my presentation. All right, so these are some of the references I used, the research I used. And I just did a small dive. I didn't do a deep dive into it. Uh, didn't do a deep dive into this. A lot of the stuff I've already dealt with. I deal with daily. But I will say this: how do we, especially if you have children in the educational system, um, how, first of all, you have to be involved. We must be involved more in policies. See, policy it's not always what's on the state level. It's not always what's on the, the national level. Policies, policy making, learning about policy, knowing policy, is in our day-to-day life. For instance, as an educator, I have a syllabus. The syllabus is my policy for the class. It sets up everything that we'll be doing at work. If you have a code of conduct, that's a policy. Somebody does the research. Somebody writes that code of conduct, and you have to follow it. We just have to be more outspoken about what happens around us, and we have to make sure that we stay awake and not be, you know, put to sleep with these people who could speak, a good game. So what I'd like for you to do is I like for you to, as you listen to this, and thank you for all those who watch this live, those of you who are in the clouds, those of you who are watching this right now as we speak. No, as well, I'm sorry. So you're not watching it right now as we speak, but you'll be watching it after I'm done. You'll be watching this after I'm done. But leave comments. How do we address this issue? How do we address this issue? Because what's going to happen is there is a there is a concentrated effort to rewrite, sorry, to go back to, for some, were the good old days. When they put out the idea of make America great again, that's what some people want. They want to go back to the good old days. And we ain't going to let that happen. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll wait around a minute for any last comments. I will be in the chat, but I'm just going to let the music play for at least a minute. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Get your last comments in. The Cash App is scrolling. We do have not on this channel. We don't. We don't have super chats on this channel. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We're going to let the theme song play a couple of times. And after that, we'll be out.